I'm delighted to welcome Christine and friends this evening. Christine and I go back a long way. I remember one day we were talking, and I was very active in psychoanalytic problems we were having up in Albany, and she said, "Will you take care of psychoanalysis and I'll take care of the world?" And that's what she's been doing. And she and I have been to her conferences at the United Nations. When our organization of NAB met at the United Nations, we had our meeting there. She, I believe, knows almost more about this whole problem of nuclear fission and the contamination from it than anyone in the world. We realized tonight that we both had been a place that changed our lives, which was Warsaw, Poland. She, when she was a child, and I at the end of the war, when I was over there taking horses and cattle, which changed my life and made me an existentialist. But please share some of your wisdom with us, and then we can ask them questions.
Good. Thank you. What I did, I brought for you the most toxic of all the elements from nuclear reactors, plutonium. So I decided I'll pass the sheet for you so you know a little bit about plutonium. I think it's enough for all of you. So you can read it if you don't understand. Although I'm an analyst in private practice, in 1986 I was doing hyperbaric medicine experiments in Zemlya, Yugoslavia. That's when Chernobyl happened. And as I was flying off, I saw the clouds, and then of course the panic, etc. And at that point, I decided, do all of you have it? Yes. Claudia? I don't know what you did. You probably don't. But at that time, I decided that I really should do more than just work with a relatively small amount of patients and be a successful analyst and a doctor. I'll have to do something that's a little bit more global. And so with a group of my colleagues, including Dr. Strauss, I started the organization World Information Transfer. The organization is basically dedicated to the understanding about the interrelationship between health and environment. It was based on Chernobyl. One of the most distinctive features I can tell you right now, without having to in Japan, is that while Chernobyl was absolutely man-made, Japan was a natural disaster. So from that perspective, you can start a comparison. So when people say that this wasn't done and this wasn't done, and etc., they really have to take into account the natural disasters happen throughout our world, and they happen all the time, and we have to be aware of what people can and what people cannot do about the situation that they are in. From my perspective, I think that if you compare what happened to Chernobyl, which was not only a man-made disaster, but afterwards, the Soviet Union, when the strontium, plutonium, and all the isotopes were floating in the air, was the most dangerous time. They sent out children to celebrate the May Parade. Complete disregard for human life. And this has always been of great concern for me, because even though I do not believe that everybody needs a psychiatrist or can afford one, I do believe that everybody needs clean air, clean water, and ability to raise healthy children. This is my philosophy, and that philosophy we have repeated for the last 20 years. 20 years, well, actually since 1987. That's when the organization started. And since 1992, we were having conferences at the UN, and this is the latest one. I'm going to pass that to you also.
Excuse me, I want to understand, in other words, the Japanese situation is basically a natural disaster.
Well, it is, yes. What we
I
call...
think a lot of people don't realize that.
Well, a lot of people are not very smart.
Well, that's why you're here tonight.
You know, earthquake, and then a tsunami. I don't know of any man that is capable of doing it. Maybe a God, but not a man. Anyway, the conference is going to be, I think all we have this is the conference is going to be held in 2 weeks in New York City. This is going to be our 20th conference. And the first part of the conference, it talks about the nuclear power history revisited. And as you see, the first session is going to be in Chernobyl, lessons learned in nuclear security. And so if you compare Chernobyl to what happened now in Japan, I think that those lessons are going to be very, very clearly elucidated, and they should be. Now, Wes said to me, well, you're close to Indian Point. Basically, you cannot compare the type of reactor that was used in Chernobyl, which was the RBMK reactor, which was basically used to produce plutonium for weapons. And that's why that sheet that I said to you, talked about plutonium. You hear, this is, the half-life of plutonium is almost 25,000 years. And if it's spread all over, it's in the dust, and it goes into the water, and it goes into the aquifers, and it just stays there for 25,000 years. Now, you can imagine the amount of time it's going to take for the area to be cleaned up. I mean, certainly way past our lifetime. And this is what the biggest problem is by when there is an eruption.